Hello, you guys, and welcome back to episode 5 of the Identity Crisis podcast. Every time I introduce this, it just feels so whack, but here we are, back with episode 5. I did take a little bit of a break because life is life and things get hectic, but we are back in motion. Here we go. I came into the studio today and I was thinking, okay, what am I gonna eat? I just feel like I want to get a little breakfast moment, whatever. Tell me why I spent how many minutes? At least 25 minutes looking at Deliveroo being okay, what am I going to get? Ended up not getting a single thing, by the way. Literally not a single thing. Didn't even add anything to cart. And this just got me thinking. I was today's the day I talk about my biggest issues with analysis paralysis and decision fatigue. Because trust me, it's small moments like this that make me realize that it's always there. It never leaves me alone. And I feel like it leads to bigger decisions in my life as well, which is so crazy. Down to the smallest thing, ordering a quick breakfast. Dude, all I wanted was an acai bowl or a chia seed pudding. And I spent 25 minutes deadass trying to find what to order from where and what toppings. Oh my goodness, this is my biggest nightmare. Making a build your own bowl thing. Do not ask me to do that. I cannot do it. There is no way, because it is always the most difficult thing for me to commit to a decision. I don't know if this is more of a commitment issue thing. I don't know if this is more, like I said, a whole analysis paralysis thing, but let's dissect it together. I feel like this blows up into bigger things in my life. For instance, the grass is always greener on the other side. You know what I mean? This is a whole syndrome, which is super real. Especially when we live in the day and age that we live in now, given everything is on social media. We consume way more than we should be. Everything just seems like someone has it better, or a location is better, a geographical location, whatever, or you'll be happier if you move, or you'll be happier if you do this or do that and whatever. But the grass just always looks greener on the other side. And I feel I felt that the most as a fresh graduate when I did graduate. And I was really dying, obviously, during COVID to get a job, obviously, as we all were. And when I finally did, I was oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. I can't believe it. Obviously, everyone has this. The second that you actually get a job, you're oh my gosh, I actually have to do my job. What the heck? But before that, you're oh my gosh, I need a job. I can't sit at home. I'm going crazy. That's the thing. It's always greener on the other side. This applies to even larger scale things. For example, as you guys know, I spoke about in my first episode as well, I am very much a third culture kid. I would hate to sit here and be I'm a child of the universe. No, that's literally not what I'm trying to say, but I'm just saying I've moved around a lot. And I always had this thing that when I was in Toronto, I was wait, I'd be so much happier if I was in Dubai. The winter in Toronto is so shit. I just need to be in the sun. I need the sun, I need the beach, I need to move back to Dubai. When I moved back to Dubai, accidentally, or however you want to call it, I was wait, I just want to go back to Toronto. Life was better there, I was more comfortable, I'd settled in, I had my friends there, whatever. So this comes down to even the tiniest day-to-day decisions, and also larger scale things, for example, where I want to be living, It's the bigger things in life, where I want to be living, my actual, my physical geographical location, all the way down to smaller things my hair is pin straight and I've always wanted curlier hair. It's always, and this is the case with every girl, okay, you always want what you don't have, but that's what I'm saying. The grass is just always greener on the other side. And honestly, I just want to share from my personal experience that I've noticed that it just affects my day-to-day more than I really thought it actually did. And a prime example of that is what happened to me literally 20 minutes ago at the studio before we started shooting this. And I just was physically unable to order myself breakfast. How crazy is that? I feel the issue with this, when I realized that it really does affect my day-to-day more than I thought, is that it just leaves us constantly lost and in a state of constantly chasing as well for what's to come, or just not feeling satisfied with any decision that you make. Like, for example, just thinking that if you move to Paris, for instance, your life would be 10 times better, but you don't know that yet because you haven't even, we can't live in the hopes that like just moving for no reason, or not for any reason, but just for example, taking a decision is going to change your level of happiness. Sometimes it is a necessity, of course, understood. But I just mean like leading your life in such a state of chasing for what's next, but also what decision you're going to make next, and feeling like you're forgoing the better option. That's how I feel literally all the time. Again, using the slightest example of me ordering food, not just today, in general, like I always feel, and this is the biggest issue I face, that I'm forgoing a better opportunity or like a better outcome just by making the decision that I made, which is absolutely crazy to me, because it's just totally normal to make a decision and be like, this is what I decided, I'm going to stick by it. And that's that. For me, I'm like, this is my decision. Like I can be decisive. This is less about being indecisive, but more about the thought process that comes after you making said decision. Like I will order something new, for instance, at like a restaurant, and then think back and be like, oh my goodness, I should have just stuck to what I usually get, because that would have just been better, for instance, which is insane to me. And again, this also puts us in such a sort of lack of presence mindset. And I just feel like I'm constantly like weighing pros and cons, thinking about what could have been better, and being super critical in the end of the day, and again, just like lacking that presence when it comes to your day-to-day actions. And it just gets me thinking as well, because like I was having, as we all do in our mid-20s, these conversations with everyone, just feeling like the other person is more successful than you, when really like we're all just as lost. Just because the grass looks greener on the other side, we don't know that, because like you can't be in the other person's shoes to really determine that, Let's talk about analysis paralysis, okay? Like when I feel like I have an overload of data to make a decision with, it just leaves me in this absolute state of, I don't even know what to call it, like overthinking or anxiety or whatever it may be, but I just can't seem to get to the bottom of that decision, or that analysis that I'm trying to make, or, the conclusion that I'm trying to reach actually. And I just end up absolutely freezing just in my thoughts and in my own head. Meanwhile, an action has not been made and a decision has not been taken, and I'm in the exact same position that I started off with. This then honestly leads to the other sort of buzzword that I was using earlier, which is decision fatigue, and leaves me absolutely exhausted from the most normal day-to-day activities. Who can literally relate to this, especially as a girl? Like, for example, hair wash day. Dude, I literally, for me to decide when to wash my hair and to commit to that day is like the biggest decision I have to take in my entire life. Like, I will sit there and be like, so do I wash my hair today because I have gym tomorrow, and then I have this thing the next day, but if I wash my hair the same day, it's too poofy. So I need second day hair for it to be prime. And so I just sit there thinking about when I should be washing my hair, and it's like the tiniest decision, like the most human, normal thing to do, and it ends up being like the most tiresome thing in the entire world for absolutely no reason, because I just overwhelm myself with all these other like things that lay into this decision, you know what I mean? And I'm sure we can all relate to this, and it comes down to like the smallest things. Like I'll commit to like a nail color, and like I'll just think to myself, I'll be like, damn, I should have gone with what I usually go with. Like this is just always, it's like it comes down to like the smallest things, and you end up being so exhausted just by all these little activities that you need to do as a normal functioning human being in your day. Like, I remember as well when I was living in Toronto still and like at university and stuff, like I remember being so fatigued just by deciding what to make for dinner. Dude, dinner has not been made yet. I'm not even like tired from making dinner. I'm just tired from deciding what to eat. Like, what the heck? And I know I'm using food as like a constant analogy, but it's just like, it just goes to show that it's down to the most minute, simple human functioning things that we need to do in a day, right? And this is what really gets to me, because I just feel like, of course it does have an impact on like your longer term and larger actual sort of like, you know, either career, family, important decisions that you're going to make in your life trajectory, right? So I don't know. I just feel like it's a common thing that we all do face. There has to be a way that we can overcome this. Personally, I find that when I talk about my sort of pros and cons, I know it's like a classic way of figuring out a decision, making a pros and cons list. And I find that when I talk about it with like one of my friends, one of the girls, I am instantly at like a more clear peace of mind sort of state where I'm like, okay, I now know what to do. What's funny though is always like, if you know me, like it's just the funniest thing ever. And like my parents tell me this all the time as well. Like I will come and be like, okay, these are my two options, okay? And these are pros of this one. These are pros and cons for each one, whatever. Tell me what I should do. Person in question will be like, okay, you should go ahead with this. Me, I will literally do the exact opposite of what they just told me. So, end of the day, you know, you just got to do what you got to do. However, it does help talking to someone and hearing yourself out, of course, with their opinions and their advice, for you to kind of reach a little bit of a clearer, level-headed decision, you know? I also feel like being more present during your days help a lot more as well. And I find that, you know, it's easier, obviously, to be a little more present when you are super busy or you have a lot to do, and that keeps you more present in like your actions during the day rather than just sitting and being in your own head and kind of being aloof and not really, I guess, being in that moment. And then again, it's funny because when you are super busy, every day just goes by and it feels like you're actually not present. So that's a whole other topic. But I feel like for presence, at least, being intentional for me, at least, again, I'm back with another corny quote, but I saw a quote that said, strategy is simple when, hold up, I want to look it up. Wait. I have it. Hang on. When your vision is clear, strategy is easy. And this is what I mean by the whole intentions during your day thing. When your vision and your intention is clear, then like your day-to-day strategy or your day-to-day is super simple because you're moving with intention. I find that helps most for me when it comes to being present in my day-to-day, even within a super busy day. Of course, there are days where things are just out of control and you just feel like you're going and the days are just going by. But when you do have the chance to kind of sit with yourself again and realign, I feel that helps a lot with presence. I don't know if anyone else is feeling this way lately, but I have felt like I'm just in like a huge slump right now. Like the New Year started off amazing, and then January was like a whole fucking 365 days long. Now here we are in Feb, and I just still am so drained from literally last month, and we're not even we're just in the second month of the year. I don't know if anyone else is feeling this way, but I've been feeling super slouchy and again like misaligned, you know. And this is a reminder for myself, same way as it is for you guys, to take some time to recalibrate and sort of, I guess, sit with yourself so that you can get those intentions right, you can get that vision clear, and then make your day-to-day decisions based on that in a more clear, level-headed sort of space rather than kind of having no direction with it, you know? Mindfulness plays in with presence, and I feel like when you do have a mindful practice at some point in your day, for me personally, that can never be in the morning just because I will go right back to sleep. But I like to end my day with some mindfulness and use that energy from that meditation that I would have just done to then sit with myself, set those intentions, and sort of set the intentions for the entire week ahead. Personally, I find that day-to-day planning for me can only be done on my notes app on my phone or my Google Calendar. But I do enjoy having like a weekly layout that helps me at least know what direction my week is going in and what slots of time I have during the week to really move with that intention and take those decisions accordingly. Then again, like, just to play devil's advocate, like yet again, so no surprise here, but I have been a bit too obsessed with my Google Calendar, and this, I feel, again, adds back in and feeds into the paralysis, because I have so much of it overload. I almost get obsessive and compulsive about it that, like, I mean, don't be like me, but like, that's how I feel at the moment. So I've been trying to take a step back a little bit, just kind of go with the flow of things, and just at the same time keep my main time blocks in my week so that I'm not entirely lost in the current of, you know, whatever the week is has prepped out for me. You know, I just thought of another thing, actually, which is so funny to me, because I find that, like, with all of this, like, overwhelming decision stuff, I find that, like, and I only recently discovered this, okay, and who would have thought? It's like the most simple thing ever. But the more that I kind of get to know myself, the more I feel it's easier to be decisive, because I'm the type of person that kind of like goes with the flow of anything. I'm super chill, almost too chill, and I'm not really against, I don't know, like, I'll just kind of go with I am fairly adaptable is what I'm trying to say. And being adaptable like that, I feel like it just puts me in a position where I'm like constantly trying to, like, first of all, I constantly want to like move somewhere else. I'm constantly trying to like revamp my entire like appearance or the way that I look and the way that whatever, you know, like, hence, again, back to my podcast being called Identity Crisis. I do face this on a literal weekly basis, and that's only because, like, I'm just inspired every single week, and every single week I'm like, I need to reinvent myself. And this is like a constant thing. And so I find that, like, that also makes decision making hard, because then I'm just like okay with absolutely everything. So then I just have so many options to choose from and so many decisions to make, because every option seems feasible to me. I'm not against anything. There are people who are just so sure of themselves and they know themselves. So, like, they know that making this decision over another one is just so out of line for them. So they're just not going to make that, they're not going to take that road, you know? Whereas for me, all the roads are feasible and I could totally go down any street. And I just, like, that's what I mean, that I have found that recently, getting to know myself better and really, really, like, question myself as to who I am, like, down to the core, you know, like what I like to do, prioritize those sort of things, I find has kind of helped my whole decision-making process, and also helped with the whole grass is greener syndrome too, because then I'm just like, okay, like, this is who I am. I'm grateful to be who I am. I don't need to feel like someone has it better, or I could be better if I was doing X, Y, Z. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like that helped quite a lot, if I'm not going to lie. So I guess, like, to wrap things up a little bit, I feel almost lighter just by talking about this anyways with you guys. And I hope that, like, some of this resonated with you, because I just feel like it's a constant thing, given, again, just like we are grateful and we don't realize it. Like, it is a privilege to live in the time that we do now, where almost anything seems possible. We have so many endless decisions. We are honestly spoiled for choice at this moment, which like probably previous generations or like our parents' generations or whatever didn't have. There was just like very much like stigmatized and like one way to go. While we are, you know, absolutely overwhelmed with all this decision-making stuff, we should be grateful for the fact that we are spoiled for choice. It is a privilege to have what we do. And I think instead of seeing it more as like an overwhelming decision-making, you know, stressful data overload situation, I think it's just about flipping the narrative and just thinking that, okay, we are lucky that we can go in any direction. First of all, again, everyone else's journey is not your journey. What's meant for you and in your path and in like on your way is going to find you regardless, and you are going to find it. So there's no point in comparing your decisions and your path to the person next to you, you know? And I just find that remembering that, and again, having moments like this where maybe you're listening to me or maybe you're talking to your bestie and you're talking about the same thing, and it's just like these small little moments do just help, I guess, bring it back and clear your mind a little bit and feel a little bit better when it comes to your day-to-day activities, to be honest. I obviously, you know, wanted to talk about this given my day-to-day life struggles as a high-functioning person, I guess. Whether it's ADHD or not, I don't know. I'll leave that to a doctor. But for me personally, the whole day-to-day thing, making decisions, just feeling like the grass is always greener on the other side is something that was just getting to me so much that I just felt like I wanted to get off my chest, to be honest. And so hopefully some of this makes sense to you guys. And it's just, I guess, about having that clear vision, moving with intention day to day so that your decisions are, easier at the end of it. And sort of just practicing a little bit of that mindfulness and presence so that we are grateful in a state of gratitude rather than in a state of comparison, which I feel is obviously things that have worked for me and hopefully will work for you too. That is it for episode 5. Thank you guys for hanging out with me on our little weekly FaceTime call. I know I took a little time off. To be honest, like life gets in the way and it's okay. I'm trying myself to go easy and not absolutely kill myself for not, doing this as per my schedule that is so ideal in my head, but it's okay. And what matters is that I'm recording this now and this is going live very soon. So thank you guys for tapping in this little session. And we will be having a guest very soon, actually. So stay tuned for that. Like I said in my last episode, not to like keep it teasing, but like it's coming. I'm super excited actually to have someone on the pod. So that's super exciting. And yeah, also big shout out. I know that we kind of like switched locations, didn't really address any of it, like new background unlocked or whatever, but big shout out to Think Smart Hub for the space that we're in right now, which is so dope and so cozy. I will catch you guys in my next episode. Until then, love and light and peace and happy decision making always. Okay, bye. Also, you know the drill, so subscribe and follow on IG, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and stick around and turn that bell on or whatever the fuck so that you can stay tuned for when I do drop my episodes, which is every week except for when I decide to take a break. So yeah, bye. Thank you.